name's Ted Lewis. It wasn't always Lewis. I'm from Italian descent, and when I was born, our name at that time was Lucione, or Lucione. I was 2 weeks old, I think, the first time they took me. Was hop picking. We used to go hop picking every year. So for the first 10 years of my life, hop picking was the only holiday we had. Hops were grown in Kent. They were grew on vines, and they were like grapes made of petals that had a little seed in each petal. And you pick the hops off, and you got paid so much a bushel for them. Then they would go to a host house where they would be dried and they would be rubbed out, and then all the seeds were taken away and went off to the breweries and whatever. So that was our holiday. It was a paid holiday. I mean, for kids, though, it was just a holiday in the country, away from London. So we lived in huts. We had no cooking facilities, so we had to build a fire outside the huts. When we got, the farmers used to grow the hops, and then about the first 2 weeks in September, they would be ready for picking, so they would send for their pickers from London, and you would hire a lorry and that would take you down there. One of the main reasons I enjoyed it, because it started as the children went back to school, so I didn't have to go back to school. But I used to follow the head cowman around, and I can even remember his name. His name was Alan Luckhurst, and he was the head cowman, and I used to follow him around the farm everywhere he went and go where there was milking and things like that, you know. The bad bits I found were the chafing on the back of your legs. You had to wear Wellington boots, and wearing short trousers. You know, I mean, nobody wore long trousers until they were 14 in those days, and nobody saw denims because denims were working clothes. People didn't wear them to go about in. So that was one of the bad parts. So I always remember that, getting the backs of your legs chafed with the Wellington boots, and it was always muddy. And 7 o'clock in the morning, when we had to go down to the upfields, they'd fill up pushchairs and prams with all the things they needed for the day. And we'd have to push across these muddy fields to get to the upfields where they started picking. Thing really, the upfields were laid out with rows of these vines of hops, and each family or person or two people were given 2 rows to sit in, and you pick those 2 rows of hops. Then when you got to the end of your row, you started on the next row and worked back again, unless they'd already finished it. Then you'd move on to another 2 rows. So it was quite organised. You had a man going round all the time, and he'd shout out when he was. You'd get there like 7 o'clock, and he'd shout out when you started work, and he'd shout out all to work, and you'd all start, because you weren't allowed to pick in front of other people. You had to keep level with them all the time, so you didn't cheat on anybody, and you didn't steal someone else's hops. And he would just shout out things all day, different things, and when to pack up.